Hey, welcome back to the Driveway Marketing Podcast. I am your host, Bryan Durkin. I hope you are enjoying this adventure we're on together. And as we get through what we call these foundational episodes, we'll get into the meat. You'll get lots of great stuff. Just want to give you some background while you're on your way to soccer practice, baseball practice, lacrosse practice, while you're on your walk in the morning, on your treadmill, while you're in between meetings, while you're sitting at your desk learning new stuff. I hope to help you with that. And then one comment that one of my friends who listened to this shared with me. Sorry, I talk fast. That is who I am. I have a level of energy that I would like to slow down, but I can't. My brain is going 3,000 miles an hour. As I told you in the last episode, I'm trying to help as many people as I can. And while I want you to be present and I want you to not to be overwhelmed by my speed, apparently there's a thing called point 0.8 speed on your podcast listening device. Apparently they do that. I will tell you that there is a technology company that's always launching new products, and the CEO goes 7,000 miles an hour. So I can't even understand them, which is saying something. And so I found that magical. So if you need to slow down, go ahead. If you need to speed up, God bless you. You can think faster than I can. So in this episode, we want to talk about why is this stuff hard? People, they're really the difference between something being complicated and something being complex. So if you think about people and processes, right? So those are complicated things that generally have really defined inputs, defined processes, right? So something that's complicated could be building a house, right? The building a house is complicated. There's lots of moving parts, but it doesn't need to be complex, right? So the complexity is like flying an airplane or dealing with all the various, all the different inputs and outputs and all the different people involved. That's where the level of complexity. So what ends up happening is people take complicated things, right? Selling, marketing, hiring people, running finances, and they make them complex by adding tons of variables and doing this. So what's an example? So an example would be, hey, we want to start, I don't know, we want to create a newsletter. Super simple task, right? Every month talking about, or every 2 weeks, talking about what's going on in your world personally, talking about what's going on outside your world, talking about some tips, whatever it is, right? Then all of a sudden it becomes, a newsletter that's going to go on email. It's going to go printed. It's going to go whatever. So it's going to go in millions of different directions. It's going to turn into a sales funnel. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. We're going to talk about that later on. And I'm going to tell you my love-hate relationship with sales funnels. I'm going to have a whole episode on low volume sales funnels. What does that mean? Oh, so actually that's a preview, right? So, for most people in the home services business, they're working on 6 to 8 projects at a time. That is the typical kind of mid-sized business, under $3 million, maybe they're more, without the business becoming more complicated. Notice I didn't say complex. So, so by focusing on simple, repeatable, tasks, right? That makes it so much simpler, right? So if you think about, my mentor is a guy by the name of Dan Kennedy. 99% of the people listening to this probably have not heard of that. But what Dan preaches, and I did not knowing it was the right thing or not back in previous Bryan life, share you some examples in a minute, was do something every day. So if part of your mission is to get referrals from, I don't know, let's just say real estate agents, because they're if you're in the home business, 85% of, home improvement happens at the time of a transaction, something like that. That number changes. That was a pre-COVID number. During COVID, the number became jaded because we couldn't go anywhere. So the whole world just decided to remodel their bathroom. Right. All the wood was gone. All the supply chain stuff was all screwed up. Anyway. So, if that's your target market, right. And you want to find the best people in your market. And if you do something to them every day that is meaningful and about them, you're going to see after some time, it doesn't happen in seconds, that, you will see results. So for example, if you are, here's a real tactical thing. So if you're in the home services business and let's just use carpet cleaning, right? People want to have their carpets cleaned 2 weeks after a month after they move their house. Because what happens when they move in? Well, they move in, the movers come in, they do this, they do that, they get the walls painted. And then once the walls are painted and the window treatments are up, hint, hint, they want to get the carpets cleaned. Well, there's a couple ways to do that. There are complicated marketing systems you can implement. And one of the guests we're going to talk about is going to talk about using less complicated marketing systems. But a really simple one is find the best people in your market and get to know them. And honestly, the simplest way to get to know them is ask how you can help, right? One of the things we do in my business all day long is we send handwritten notes. Yep. Actually, I have a stack of note cards next to my desk. And as I meet people, talk to people, have Zoom calls, yes, Zoom calls still are happening. I will send a little note thanking them for their time, and I will find their address. My assistant will find their work address or home address, and then we will send to them a handwritten card. Why is that so incredibly important? Because I will tell you that in a previous life, I would handwrite notes to CIOs of Fortune 200 companies, clip out articles from magazines and newspapers and in the time websites. I would print them out and drop them in the mail. And I could tell you that it literally generated millions of dollars of business because everyone else was blowing up their phones, was blowing up their emails. And at the time, I was just sending them something, thought, and it would be a sticky note on it and says, Joe, thought this would be of interest. Looking forward to catching up soon, Brian. And now it doesn't work all the time. If it was 100%, I'll be doing it. But I got to tell you that that was my do something every day. And that habit from early in my career, from 30 years ago, has persisted today. So now I realize technology is moving faster. You can text somebody, you can send them a LinkedIn message, an Instagram thing, a snap, whatever you're doing. But if you want to slow down and create, you know, repeatable systems for growth and making your selling easy, which is the whole purpose of this podcast. If you soften up the components of it, one of the great ways to do that is, thank them. So if you're meeting people and, you don't know what the follow-up is because there isn't always an immediate follow-up. And if it's a good response, if it's a good opportunity, there probably isn't a direct correlation one-on-one because then you're transactional. And so I'm going to have an episode about transactional versus transitional later on. But unless you're in the transaction business, right? Unless you're selling gas or selling coffee at a gas station, then that's transactional. But most people in the home services business are transitional, right? So they want to do work for that one person, and then they want to do all those other people in that neighborhood or near their driveway. Hint, hint, of what's going on. So anyway, so the point of this: do something every day. So go ahead and figure out what it is you can do something every day to change your business. And I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to be a marketing thing. I talked about sending a postcard. Maybe in the beginning, you thank your employees for coming in today. Hey, thanks for being here today. I appreciate you being present. And if you do that to one person every day, you'll be amazed on how much more receptive they're going to be when there's challenges, right? Maybe you are going to check on your finances every day. One of the guests we're going to have talks about daily check-ins with your cash. Even though you may not necessarily, understand or may not necessarily believe there's an issue, by keeping a hawk's eye on your cash will help you grow the business. So anyway, think about what you can do every day. And if you have a comment or a reply just let me know. And I'd love to hear what you are doing every day. You guys have an awesome one. See you on the next episode.